Hey there, and welcome to Family Revenge. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay with us for every twist and turn. Let's jump right in. I was staring at the spreadsheet on my screen, but none of it was sinking in. The numbers blurred together while that tight, sour feeling started building in my stomach. My desk phone buzzed, and I already knew who it was before I even looked. Emma! Alex's voice came through, too casual, like this wasn't the fourth time this year he was about to ask for money. Hey, sorry to bug you at work. Real quick thing. Lily's van broke down again. Transmission this time. I leaned back in my chair, pressed the phone tighter to my ear, and didn't say anything. I could feel my heart thudding in my chest. He waited, then kept going. They're saying it'll be around 800, and we're already behind on daycare. I know it's a lot, but we're tapped out. Any chance you could float it? My mouth was dry. I just sent you guys money last month. What happened to that? He sighed like I was being difficult. That went to rent, remember? It's been tight with Lily staying home with the kids. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't serious. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I glanced at the frame picture on my desk, me at Yellowstone, back when I still took trips. That was 2 years ago. I hadn't gone anywhere since. Yeah, I finally muttered. Okay, I'll transfer it tonight. Seriously? You're the best. I don't know what we'd do without you. I forced a smile he couldn't see, hung up, and stared at the monitor. The room hummed with cheap fluorescent lights, and the air was thick with that office smell. Coffee, paper, dust. I opened my banking app. My paycheck had cleared that morning. I was finally close to buying the camera I'd been saving for, my one damn indulgence. But there it was again, 800 out, just like that. I clicked transfer and hit send. A coworker walked past and dropped a file on my desk. I barely nodded. I didn't want to talk. I used to be proud of being the one everyone counted on. Now it just felt like being the family credit card. As I closed the app, I saw my remaining balance flash across the screen. I'd have enough to pay rent, barely. The camera would have to wait again. I shut my laptop harder than I meant to and grabbed my coat. I needed air. I shoved the door open and stepped into the late summer heat. My legs moved fast across the parking lot like they had a job to do. My chest still burned from that call, but my feet had made the decision before my brain caught up. I wasn't going home. Not yet. I got in the car, rolled down the windows, and turned the key. The engine clicked twice before starting. Great, one more thing waiting to die on me. But I didn't care. I knew where I was going. It was this little camera shop on Grove Street, tucked between a laundromat and an old bakery. Not a big box store. Real glass counters, real advice, and the same two guys who'd been running it since I first started looking months ago. The bell jingled when I walked in. Steve, the older one with the glasses and ratty band t-shirts, looked up from the register. Back again, huh? He said, grinning. Today's the day. He blinked. For real? I nodded. Let's do it. I followed him to the back, to the same spot I'd stood in probably 10 times before. He pulled the Nikon Z6 II from the case like it was made of gold. I already knew every stat on it, every feature, every damn button. I dreamed about this thing. Literally. You still want the 24 to 70 millimeter lens with it? Yeah, I said, heart thumping. I want the full kit. He boxed it up while I filled out the card slip. My hands were shaking, not because I was nervous, but because it felt real. This was mine. He handed me the bag with a little nod. You earned it. On the drive home, I kept glancing at the passenger seat like I'd left a baby there. The bag sat perfectly upright like it knew it belonged. Before we go further, how's your day going, and where are you joining from? The breeze came in warm through the window, and for once, I didn't think about anyone else. Not Alex, not Lily, not their damn van or daycare or rent, just me. The roads blurred past. I caught a red light near the park and had this moment, like a snapshot burned into my mind. Kids laughing near the fountain, a golden retriever shaking off water while its owner yelled, a couple curled up on a bench. That's what I want to capture, I thought. Real life, real people. Not stuck behind a desk, not held hostage by guilt. I pulled into my apartment lot just as the sun dipped low, casting orange light over the concrete. I carried the box like it was sacred. Up the stairs, past the peeling paint and flickering hallway light, to my door. Inside, I cleared the table, set the box down, and cut the tape. The smell hit first. New plastic, rubber, ink from the manuals. The lens clicked into place with the smoothest sound I'd ever heard. I held it up and looked through the viewfinder. My breath caught. It was the first thing I'd bought in years that was purely unapologetically mine. No one asked for it, no one approved it, no one needed it more than me. I took my first photo, just the living room, but it felt like I was claiming space. I sat down on the floor, camera in my lap, and let the feelings settle in. Pride. I'd worked double shifts, canceled vacations, skipped dinners out, and kept saying next time. Well, this was my time. For the first time in a long damn while, I was actually proud of myself. I stood up, still gripping the camera, and walked to the window. The light outside was fading, that perfect blue hour where everything looks softer, quieter. I adjusted the focus. Clicked. That one was for me. I snapped the window shut, packed the camera carefully into its case, and zipped it up. The whole drive to my parents' house, it sat on the passenger seat like a trophy. I was still buzzing from that first photo, like I'd finally done something for myself and it actually mattered. Sunday dinner smelled like it always did. Roast chicken, garlic, and the weird cinnamon air freshener my mom thought masked everything. My dad opened the door before I knocked. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, giving me a quick pat on the back. "You're right on time." I stepped inside, holding the camera bag like a kid with a show and tell project. Lily and Alex were already at the table. She was scrolling on her phone. He barely looked up. "Hey," I said, lifting the bag a little. "I finally got the camera." Lily raised an eyebrow. "The one you were saving up for?" "Yeah, picked it up yesterday." I set it down and unzipped it just enough to show the body, still wrapped in its soft cloth. My mom peeked from the kitchen. "A camera? You mean like a real one?" "Yep, full frame, mirrorless. Shoots video too." I smiled and pulled it out just a little, my hands still steady with pride. Alex looked over from his seat. "You actually bought that?" "Yeah," I said, trying to keep my tone light. "I've been putting money aside for months." My mom stepped closer, drying her hands on a towel. "It must have cost a fortune. How much did that thing run you?" "About $2,000, give or take," I said. "It's top of the line. I wanted something serious, not just for fun." Lily let out a low whistle. $2,000? For a camera? I mean, I guess that's nice if you don't have any other priorities." I froze for a second, then gave a tight laugh. "It's something I've wanted for a long time, that's all." "Must be nice," she muttered. "No mortgage, no kids, no one else to think about. Just drop a couple grand on toys." I didn't respond. I just placed the camera gently back in the bag. "Quick question. While you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." Dad cleared his throat. "You know, Em, not to be a downer, but maybe you should have talked to us first. With the way things are going for your brother and Lily, there's a lot of needs in the family right now." I blinked. "Talk to you? About spending my own money?" "Well," he said, setting his fork down, "it's just a big purchase, that's all. And with everything going on, maybe that money could have helped more if you'd—" "I've been helping," I snapped, sharper than I meant. "For years." Alex leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "No one's saying you don't. Just saying, maybe you think about what's best for everyone before dropping thousands on gear you don't need." "I do need it," I said. "I want to do something for myself for once." Lily laughed under her breath. "Photography isn't exactly a necessity, Emma. This isn't a career. You've got a good job already." I looked at each of them, then at the camera bag, and slowly zipped it all the way shut. Mom set the casserole dish on the table with a thud. "All right, let's not make this a thing. We're all family. We help each other, remember?" I sat down and said nothing. Forked a piece of chicken onto my plate. Chewed without tasting it. No one asked to see the photos. No one asked why I bought it. They just saw a waste. I kept my eyes on the plate and pushed the camera bag gently under my chair with my foot. I slid the last bite of chicken around my plate, trying to pretend I didn't hear the way Lily snickered every time I shifted in my seat. After dinner, I left without dessert and didn't say goodbye. The camera stayed zipped up, untouched the whole night. 3 days later, I grabbed my bag and headed out for the weekend. A quick work trip, nothing major. Just 2 nights out of town, but I remember locking everything up. I even glanced at the camera bag one more time before shutting the door. When I got back Sunday night, something felt off. Nothing was broken, nothing missing. At least, not right away. The door was locked, lights off, but the apartment felt emptier. I tossed my keys on the counter and went to unpack. That's when I noticed the camera bag was gone. I stared at the spot next to the TV stand, then checked the couch, then the bedroom. I tore through the closet. Nothing. I checked under the bed, in the kitchen cabinets, places it shouldn't be, just to calm the crazy panic building in my chest. I texted my roommate, "Hey, did you move my camera bag?" She replied 2 minutes later, "No, I haven't been home since Friday." Why? I texted two friends who'd been over earlier that week. No one touched it. That pit in my stomach turned solid. I paced the apartment, racking my brain. I hadn't taken it out. I hadn't brought it to work. It was here. I saw it before I left. Then I remembered something. Something stupid. Months ago, I gave a spare key to my parents, just in case. Just in case of what? In case they needed to steal from me? I grabbed my laptop and pulled up the app for the building's lobby cameras. It only recorded clips when the door opened, and even then, it only saved the last week unless you downloaded it. I scrolled through the motion events. Friday, 11:42 a.m. Someone buzzed in. I clicked the clip. There he was. Alex, wearing a gray hoodie, baseball cap, no kids, no Lily. Just him. My hand clutched the mouse so tight my fingers ached. I rewound and checked again. Clear as day. He punched in the door code and walked right in. No call. No heads up. Nothing. I swallowed hard and flipped to the next camera, the hallway outside my unit. There he was again, entering with the key. Calm, casual, not even a glance around. He went straight for the living room, and then the feed cut out. It didn't show inside the apartments, obviously, but the next clip, him walking out, carrying the camera bag. Quick note, before we go further, drop a comment and let us know where you're tuning in from. I covered my mouth, but it didn't stop the sound that came out of me. Not a scream. Just this sharp, broken inhale, like I'd been sucker punched. He stole it. He took it. Like it meant nothing. I sat down on the floor, footage still playing, and stared at my screen. My brother. My own brother. The one I'd bailed out more times than I could count. Rent, groceries, kids' clothes, van repairs. He walked into my home, into my space, and took the one thing I bought just for me. The betrayal hit slow, but when it landed, it gutted me. Not just because he stole the camera, because he didn't even think I'd notice. Like it wasn't mine to miss. Like I owed it to him. I sat there for almost an hour just watching that same damn clip over and over, hoping it'd change, hoping I was wrong. But it didn't, and I wasn't. I finally got up, pulled my phone out, and took a photo of the screen. Then I started shaking, not scared, livid. I grabbed my keys and shoved the laptop into my bag. I didn't even put on shoes. I just walked out the door, heart pounding, hands numb. I was done pretending this family didn't take advantage of me. Next stop, Alex's house. I barely felt my foot on the gas pedal. My fingers gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles went white. I could hear my heart thumping in my ears, steady and pissed. The longer I stared at that photo on my phone, the more my body shook with something I didn't even recognize. Not sadness, not disappointment. Pure, boiling rage. I pulled up in front of Alex and Lily's house, the porch light still on, even though it was barely dusk. There they were, sitting on those plastic Adirondack chairs like life was just fine, laughing, sipping beers like they hadn't just robbed me. And there it was, my camera, sitting right on the table between them like a damn centerpiece. I got out of the car and slammed the door harder than I meant to. Alex looked up, and the second his eyes met mine, his smile dropped. "Emma?" he said, standing up slowly. Lily followed his gaze and crossed her arms. "What's with the attitude?" I didn't answer her. I walked straight up the steps and pointed. "Give it back." Alex blinked. "What are you talking about?" I took my phone out, tapped the screen, and held it up. "Don't play stupid. I saw you. I have the footage. You came into my apartment and took it." He glanced at the camera, then back at me. "Okay, calm down. It's not what you think." "Oh, really?" I barked. "Then what is it? Because it looks like you stole something you had no right touching." "Emma, it was just a temporary thing," he said, hands up. "We needed it for Lily's project. You weren't even using it." "It's not yours to use," I snapped. "I worked for that. I saved for months while covering your crap and your bills and your breakdown vans. You took it, Alex, like a damn thief." He rubbed the back of his neck and started pacing. "Look, I was gonna give it back. But come on, Emma, what do you even need it for? You take pictures of squirrels and park benches. Lily can use it for real stuff. School stuff, side gigs." "Side gigs?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean the same side gigs she never finishes? Don't act like she suddenly needs a Nikon more than I do." From behind him, Lily stood up, voice sharp. "Wow, You really don't know how selfish you sound right now. I do need it, Emma, for the kids' fundraiser, for their soccer team. God, for anything other than your artsy little me time. Selfish? I said, turning toward her. You think I'm selfish? After I've covered your groceries and your rent and your tires? I finally bought something for me, and you two decide you're entitled to it? Alex stepped in between us. It's not that serious. Don't blow it out of proportion. It is serious, I shouted. You broke into my place. You used a key I gave to Mom and Dad for emergencies. That's not just disrespectful. It's disgusting. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Lily scowled and muttered something under her breath. I want it back, now. Neither of them moved. Quick check-in. Before we go on, comment below and tell us what you would have done in this situation. I walked over, grabbed the camera from the table, and slung the strap over my shoulder. My hands were still shaking. I turned and looked them both dead in the eye. I'm done. Emma, Alex started. No, I snapped. You don't get to explain this away. You stole from me and then tried to gaslight me into thinking I didn't deserve it. You two are unbelievable. I walked back down the steps, every step heavier than the last. Behind me, Lily muttered, she's always had to make herself the victim. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. I just said, loud enough for both of them to hear, at least I didn't raise my kids to think stealing was okay. I got in my car, slammed the door shut, and stared straight ahead. My chest was tight, my eyes burned, but I didn't cry. I drove off, the camera in the passenger seat. All I felt was heat, pounding through my veins. And underneath it, something worse. I didn't even feel surprised. I parked outside my apartment, the camera still sitting in the passenger seat, like it needed protection. I stared at the door for a full minute before I had the energy to get out. The second I walked in, my phone buzzed. Mom, 8:57 p.m. Emma, we need to talk. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Then another. Dad, 9:04 p.m. Your brother's not perfect, but this isn't the way. Just call us. Then the kicker. Mom, 9:12 p.m. Sweetheart, please. Alex and Lily have kids. You don't. You should let them have it. You can always get another one later. That one stopped me cold. Let them have it. Like it was a jacket they borrowed, like it wasn't mine. I turned off my phone and tossed it on the counter. Next morning, I didn't go into work. I just couldn't. I emailed my boss some lie about a migraine and curled up on the couch, still in last night's clothes. The apartment was dead silent. No one knocked to check on me. No one cared that I'd been robbed. Because to them, it wasn't robbery. It was family. I stared at the wall until noon. Then I turned the phone back on. Voicemails, more texts. My cousin chimed in, my aunt, all saying the same thing in nicer or nastier ways. Let it go. Alex meant well. Lily's trying. I'm blowing it out of proportion. One even said, you always make things harder than they need to be. Maybe I did. Maybe I was being dramatic. It was just a camera, right? I had the camera back. What was the point of dragging this out? I could just say it's fine, put it away, be the bigger person. That voice started crawling in, low and familiar, the one that always kept me quiet at family dinners, always told me not to stir things up, always said don't make a scene. But that voice wasn't mine. I sat up, pulled my laptop onto my knees, and opened the security app again. Watched Alex walk into my apartment like he had every right. Watched him carry my hard work out the door like it was a damn grocery bag. No guilt. No pause. And that's when the last thread snapped. Before we go further, if this were your brother, would you call the cops? Drop your answer in the comments. I stood up, grabbed my keys, and went straight to the kitchen drawer. Found the USB drive I'd used to save the footage. Plugged it in. Transferred the video. Then I grabbed the receipt from the folder on my desk, the one from the shop. I had everything. Proof, dates, time, value. I zipped it all into my bag, zipped my jacket, and grabbed my phone. The notifications kept popping up, but I ignored them this time. I was done being the one who bent over backwards for people who never gave a damn how far I bent. Done excusing things because that's just how family is. Done letting them decide what I deserve. I locked the door behind me and walked down the stairs. I didn't know what would happen next. I didn't know how far this would go, but I knew exactly where I was going. Straight to the police. The police station was colder than I expected. Not just the air, everything. The gray walls, the plastic chairs, the stale, bitter smell of old coffee and bleach. I stood at the front desk, holding my bag like it might bite. The woman behind the glass barely looked up. Help you? I need to report a theft, I said, louder than I meant to. I have proof. She blinked, then buzzed me in. Room 3. Detective Marquez will be with you in a minute. I sat down and placed the USB and receipt on the table like I was about to do a presentation. My fingers tapped against my knee nonstop. A few minutes later, a man in his 40s walked in. Black button down, plain face, tired eyes. He sat down across from me and didn't bother with small talk. I'm Detective Marquez. You said you have footage? Yeah, I slid the USB across. And the original purchase receipt. It was my camera. He took it. Who's he? I looked him dead in the eye. My brother. He nodded slowly, like he'd heard that one before. I gave him the short version. How I found the camera missing, checked the security app, saw my brother entering my apartment with the key and leaving with the bag. He plugged in the USB, watched the footage without saying a word, then looked at the receipt. $2,000. He muttered, "That's enough to press charges. Do you want to move forward with this?" My stomach twisted, but I forced my mouth to answer before my brain had the chance to backpedal. Yes. He watched me for a second, studying my face. You understand this isn't just a report. If we process this, he could be arrested, charged. You sure that's what you want? I hesitated. My throat tightened, but I didn't flinch. He walked into my apartment without permission and took something that wasn't his. He crossed a line I can't ignore. He nodded again, this time slower. All right, we'll need a written statement, and I'll log the evidence. You'll get a case number. Once it's processed, we'll move on it. I pulled out my notepad and started writing. Before we continue, would you press charges if your own brother stole from you? Let us know in the comments. Halfway through the statement, my hands stopped shaking. By the time I handed it over, I felt different. Not calm, not proud. Just certain. Detective Marquez glanced it over and stood up. You did the right thing. People assume family makes it complicated, but theft is theft. Doesn't matter whose last name it is. I nodded, even though the guilt was already crawling in. I could already hear my mom's voice, calling me cold, my dad telling me to fix it quietly, the family chats blowing up again. But I'd done everything right, and none of them had stood up for me. I walked out of the station with the receipt in my pocket and the case number scratched into the corner. The sky had turned that dull, late afternoon gray that makes everything feel heavier. I climbed into my car and sat for a second, both hands on the wheel. I didn't know what came next, maybe a full-blown fallout, maybe worse. But for the first time in years, I wasn't shrinking myself to keep peace. I turned the key, started the engine, and drove away without looking back. I didn't even make it 24 hours. I was still in sweats, still drinking cold coffee out of a chipped mug when the knock hit my door. Not polite, not curious, pissed. I already knew who it was. I opened the door slowly. There stood my mom, face red, lips tight. My dad behind her, arms crossed. And behind them, like they had to make a damn procession out of it, Alex and Lily. Emma, Mom said, brushing past me without waiting. We need to talk. Now. My dad followed her in, trying to play calm. Alex lingered in the doorway. Lily looked like she was auditioning for a drama club. I shut the door behind them and leaned against the frame. You called the police on your own brother? Mom hissed. What the hell is wrong with you? Number I reported a crime, I said. That's what people do when they're stolen from. Oh, for God's sake, she snapped. It was a camera. Are you really going to break this family apart over some stupid electronics? Dad raised a hand. Let's just slow down. We're here to fix this. Emma, come on, you got the camera back? Can't we all just move past it? No, I said flatly. We can't. He broke into my apartment. He took something that was mine. That's not something you move past. Alex stepped in, voice low like he was suddenly humble. I messed up. I get it. That's why I came here, to say I'm sorry. Lily nodded beside him, already jumping in. We didn't mean for it to get like this. You just overreacted, that's all. I stared at both of them. You broke my trust, and you knew what that camera meant to me. You didn't care. We did care, Lily snapped. We just thought you'd understand. You don't have kids. You don't have to budget every penny. We needed it more than you did. My jaw tightened. That doesn't give you the right to steal from me. Alex sighed like he was carrying the weight of the world. I already said sorry. What more do you want, Em? Blood? You really want me arrested? I want accountability, I said. That's it. My mom threw her hands in the air. You want to make a point? Fine. You made it. Congratulations. You've proven you care more about a stupid gadget than your own blood. Quick break. What would you do if your family showed up to pressure you like this? Tell us in the comments. I looked around the room, at the four of them. Every single one had come here to protect him, not to check on me, not to apologize for how far it had gone, just to make sure I shut up and fell in line. I crossed my arms. I'm not dropping the charges. Emma, Dad said softly, like I was the one ruining Thanksgiving. This'll follow him. His record, his job. Then he should have thought about that before walking into my apartment and taking what wasn't his, I said. Silence. Mom's mouth dropped open. You're serious? I'm dead serious. Alex's face changed. That fake regret fell right off. You're unbelievable, he muttered. You're really gonna screw over your own family like this? After everything we've been through? You mean everything I've done for you? I said. Yeah, I am. Lily rolled her eyes. You're heartless. You really are. I didn't flinch. I just finally figured out that none of you care about me unless I'm useful. My mom stepped forward like she was about to slap some sense into me, but she stopped short, just stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was. Good. I stepped aside and pointed to the door. We're done here. No one moved for a second. Then Dad turned and guided Mom toward the hallway, mumbling something about giving it time. Alex walked past me without a word. Lily glared, muttering, You'll regret this. The door shut behind them, and the silence that followed hit harder than I expected. But I didn't crumble. I didn't cry. I stood in the middle of my living room, breathing like I'd just climbed out of a hole. They wanted me to cave. I wasn't going to. The door clicked shut behind them, and that was it. No follow-up, no apology, no storming back with guilt flowers or half-assed peace offers. Just silence. And for once, it felt right. Days passed, then weeks. No calls, no texts, no passive-aggressive guilt bombs. I thought the quiet might break me. Instead, it gave me room to breathe. I started going to the park more, not for anyone else, just for me. Morning light, people walking dogs, strangers living lives I didn't have to fix. I shot everything. Tree bark, pigeons fighting over fries, a couple holding hands without looking at their phones. It wasn't perfect. I was still figuring things out. Settings, angles, light. But I was trying, not for work, not for approval, not to prove a point. Just because it made me feel alive. That Sunday, the sun was sharp but warm, slicing through the branches like it had something to say. I set the tripod low in the grass and tilted the lens toward the bench I liked near the East Trail. No makeup, no posing. Just me in jeans, hoodie, camera strap around my neck. Timer, 10 seconds. I sat down and looked straight into the lens. Click. It wasn't about the photo. It was about who I was in it. No one's errand girl. No one's emotional punching bag. No one's backup plan. Before we wrap up, have you ever had to walk away from family to protect your peace? Drop your answer in the comments. I sat there, staring out across the field, the shutter sound still echoing in my head. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Mom. It rang twice, then 3 times. I let it ring. No anger, no hate, just peace. That call wasn't mine to take, not today. Maybe not ever. I stood up, brushed grass off my jeans, and packed up the tripod. The park felt wide open, like it had been waiting for me to finally show up. I took one last look at the bench. The light hit it just right now, gold and soft like the kind you only get when the day's ending and the noise finally dies down. I slipped the camera strap over my shoulder, let out a slow breath, and walked toward the light.